On this cold night, Toronto City Council moves ahead with an ambitious plan to build new affordable housing.
It is a very important first step.
Mayor Tory's plan for housing is not good enough.
Some on council are questioning just how affordable the new units will be.
Just want to lay in bed, cuddle up, and stay warm.
Bitterly cold temperatures continue across the GTA. Combined with the snow, it's all causing another day of problems for commuters. And this Duke will soon ride off. Why this cycle shop is closing after 105 years in the business. Good evening, I'm Mike Wise. Mayor Tory's new housing plan got the green light today. It will turn nearly a dozen city-owned locations into new housing with a certain percentage slated to become affordable rentals. Now, that word, affordable, is part of what's being debated today. Our City Hall reporter Lauren Pelly tries to get a sense of what it might mean with these projects.
It's pretty difficult if you're talking about affordable in Toronto.
I find it's very expensive, definitely very expensive.
The prices are just unaffordable, and the application process too, like the wait list and everything is just too long.
Across the city, there's short supply and sky-high prices. Looking at listings online today, I've spotted places for $1,800 or $1,900 a month. And there's one listing for a one-bedroom here on College Street that's going for $2,000. Council wants to give people cheaper options by turning city-owned sites like this into new housing. The plan would create 10,000 units. 2/3 would be rentals, including hundreds offered below market rent.
I think it is, by any measurement, one of the biggest initiatives of its kind that's been undertaken by the city in a long, long time.
Why can we not do more?
But critics say it falls short.
The mayor's plan will get a few thousand units built at rents that he calls affordable. We ask, though, affordable for who?
Multiple councillors called for changes, including an increase in the number of affordable units. Others worry too many hurdles could turn off developers.
What we can't do is kind of render this dead or very ill on arrival from the beginning by layering on top, as we do in this chamber.
It's like anybody buying a house. You need to make enough money to afford buying the house. Your income needs to be sustainable to buy the house. In this business case, the rents need to be enough.
Despite the concerns, council voted to back the plan, and city staff believe they can have shovels in the ground for at least a few of the sites over the next couple of years. Lauren Pelly, CBC News, Toronto.
Also at City Hall today, council voting to make the bike lanes along Richmond and Adelaide permanent. The lanes were installed between 2014 and 2016 and have become the most traveled cycle tracks in the city as of last fall, averaging more than 6,100 users every weekday. The city says it will move the bike lanes on Adelaide Street from the south to the north side and install concrete barriers to better separate drivers from cyclists. It will also adjust traffic signal timing changes where necessary. The bike lanes on Peter and Simcoe Streets will also be made permanent. Well, another night of bone-chilling cold is causing headaches for commuters. The Up Express trains were pulled from service this evening due to weather-related issues. Buses are running from Union to Pearson instead. And earlier, the TTC saw more delays on Line 1 caused by signal delays and track problems. And for the third day in a row, service on Line 3 was on again, off again. Farah Morali lucked out while riding the aging Scarborough RT to see how commuters in that part of the city were faring.
We're here at McCowan Station. This is the furthest east on Line 3, and this is the line that's been seeing delays because of problems with snow and ice. We're going to see how long it takes us to get to Bloor Yonge Station with only 3 of the 5 trains running. So no wait to actually get on the train. We are now moving, and I'm starting my timer. What's it been like riding Line 3 so far?
So today it's been smooth. The rest of the week it was pretty bad because of the weather, and it took me a couple hours to get home some days, but like today it's finally better.
A couple hours from where to where?
So from Kennedy to like Markham, pretty much. It took me almost 3 hours just to get home.
So we just passed Lawrence Station. Where are you heading to today?
Ossington.
Ossington,
Yeah.
Okay. How has it been on Line 3 for you?
Oh, it's been pretty bad. Every time I try to come onto the RT, it's either usually packed or it's shut down. So past couple of days have been kind of rough because of the storm.
So a little busy on line 3, but not many delays. We're going to hop onto line 2 and head west to downtown.
Not bad for 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but it's been another story for commuters during rush hour this week.
We know that obviously snow and ice have played a role in some of the issues we've been seeing on line 3. Maybe explain to me what's been happening. Why are we seeing these issues?
Well, the issues we've had on line 3 are basically snow accumulation and inability to actually get rid of the snow. It really has no place to go, so you put it in the cavities, and then you have so much of it, actually the cavities back themselves right back onto the power rail itself. So if you don't have good contact with the power rail, you actually have traction power issues and you can't run your trains.
In cities like Chicago, they've taken to actually torching the tracks to get rid of snow. The TTC's not doing that. There are heaters on its switches, but once it hits below -25, they can stop working.
But unfortunately, weather does still wreak havoc on our infrastructure from time to time.
The TTC says it will be investigating what might have caused the signal issues on line 1 this morning, but says it is possible that the temperatures were just so cold that they dried out the lubricant that's used to activate the switches on the trains. So again, weather wreaking havoc on the system. It says it will be dispatching personnel through all hours to try and address these snow and ice related issues today. Farah Morali, CBC News, Toronto.
And you can blame Mother Nature for this one as well. The owner of Metro Golf Dome near Milner and McCowan says the wind and all that snow over the last few days was just too much for the structure to take. It shredded parts of the dome yesterday morning. The owner says his company has insurance to cover the damage, but it won't be a quick fix. The dome will now be closed for the rest of the season. Meteorologist Nick Cernkovich joins us tonight with his look at the forecast. Only one thing to talk about, Nick, it's the cold.
Yeah, no doubt, Mike. Extreme cold warnings right across the region. This was issued by Environment Canada. Anywhere from about Prince Edward County down to southwestern Ontario, we're looking at temperatures that are in the -20s, but wind chills close to about -40. This is a look at daytime highs across the region for us today. Some areas not getting better than about -20. For tonight, down to -21 in the city of Toronto. The winds, though, a factor, 30 to 50 kilometers per hour. That'll make for wind chills in the GTA, about -35 tomorrow morning. That's how you'll start your day. Tomorrow afternoon, though, high of -14, wind chills of -23. But there is a big warm-up on the way for the weekend. Full details coming up in just a bit.
Cannot wait for that news. Thanks, Nick.
You're welcome.
Well, you might recall seeing this video about a week and a half ago. A restaurant owner in Markham taking the law into his own hands. He rammed a suspect's getaway car after an alleged robbery. Now, following that and several other break-ins, Chinese business owners met with York police last week. They are concerned about a crime wave targeting their businesses. Well, now Chinese business owners just south of Steeles in Scarborough are following suit. They spoke with members of 42 Division today about their businesses on the Toronto side of the border being targeted. Our Greg Ross spoke with one of owners of one of the restaurants hit earlier this month.
So he essentially threw a brick through the door here and then walked straight from this way, yeah. Surveillance video shows a man smashing through the front door of the Leo E. Show Hot Pot restaurant in Scarborough on January 11th. Owner John Lee says once inside, the thief seemed to know exactly where to go. So this is where the cash drawer is, right at the bar, and he literally just grabs that cash drawer and makes a run for it.
Really move fast, yeah. Just take about 30 seconds in my store, yeah.
Lee is one of several Chinese restaurant owners in the area who have been either broken into or held up at gunpoint.
Have them listen to what we have to say.
Many of them voiced concern and frustration at a public meeting today at the Chinese Cultural Center in Scarborough. Do people in the Chinese community feel like they're being targeted right now?
Yes, they feel that way. That's why we hold this seminar or the info section.
Several officers from Toronto Police were also in attendance.
In reality, it's not the Chinese community that's being targeted, it's the restaurants. So what they're actually targeting is places of opportunity.
Opportunity created by the fact that many of these businesses are predominantly cash operations.
They believe Chinese business people keep cash, keep all the money and the premises.
Police say it's time to change that business model.
Putting up a no cash on premise sign, making sure that at the end of the night your cash is put away into a safe or taken off location.
Police also say business owners should never take matters into their own hands, like the owner of this Markham restaurant did earlier this month, chasing down a man who robbed his store at gunpoint.
These people are coming in, they're armed with weapons. At the end of the day, it's money, right? And no life is worth any amount of money that's being taken.
Lee says in his case, the thief only got away with a few $100s in cash. He says it cost him more to replace the door that was smashed. In addition to adding this sign to his front door, he says he made some other changes to his business model.
Because right now, actually, we recommend people, every customer, they use credit card, debit card.
In terms of catching the people responsible, an officer from 42 Division told me that they are collaborating with York Regional Police in an ongoing investigation. So far, they have made one arrest. It was in that case where the business owner actually chased down a person who held up his restaurant at gunpoint. One of two suspects were caught and charged in that situation. Police say they're not ruling out the possibility that some of these cases are connected. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, parents with children in daycare can count on full-day kindergarten for next school year, but beyond that, there are no guarantees. We'll tell you why the program could be on the chopping block after the break. Premier Ford says there will be full-day kindergarten next year, but he's not making promises beyond that as his government continues to conduct education consultations.
I can assure you one thing, any decision that's made is going to be better. It's not going to be worse. As far as I'm concerned, there's a lot of areas of education that are broken, that need to be fixed.
The former Liberal government rolled out full-day kindergarten back in 2014. It saves parents on childcare, but costs the government about $1.5 billion a year. It is just one aspect of the education system the PCs are examining. They're also looking at the possibility of removing class size caps for both kindergarten and primary grades. Well, they may have played together, but they won't be working together. Doug Ford had asked former Mississauga Mayor Hazel McCallion to act as a special advisor for his government. She officially turned down that role today and its salary, citing her already extensive commitments. But she says she is a phone call away if the Premier ever needs advice or counsel. In response, Ford says Hazel is a true champion, adding it is a sign of character that she didn't accept the appointment when she knew she didn't have the time. York Regional Police have identified the second man killed in a shooting at a banquet hall in Vaughan. It happened early Saturday at Dream Palace Restaurant and Banquets on Keele near Highway 7. 26-year-old Ramon Morgan died after being shot at a private party there. The other victim was previously identified as 23-year-old Devin DeGoyas. Both men were from Toronto. Officers say a 24-year-old and a 25-year-old were arrested on multiple firearm and drug-related charges. Investigators are asking any witnesses to come forward. Well, we're getting a different context placed on Canada's murder rate today. Of the 600 or so people killed in this country last year, nearly 150 were women and girls. Now, that grim tally comes from researchers at the University of Guelph seeking to answer a call from the UN to better track gender-related murders and the causes behind them. Talia Ricci reports.
You're completely alone.
That's how Taryn Reeves says she felt in the abusive relationship that she was in for almost 9 years.
Before you actually take that step, you're stuck in this spiraling hole. You don't think that there's anything wrong. You think that everything's your fault. It doesn't occur to you to leave because you think that you should be fixing it.
It's a storyline that outreach workers have heard many times before.
One of the things that we know is that when women are trying to leave the abusive situation, that's when they're more at risk of dying, of being killed.
Lourdes Dianich says the new report on femicide is a first step towards ending it, but that it's also important for people to encourage victims to seek help.
To believe and not blame the victim. So, for instance, to actually speak up when they see a situation where, there are signs of abuse happening.
Laura Hartley with Peel Committee Against Women Abuse says people on the front lines have been sounding the alarm for years.
We need to be talking about the underlying misogyny, hatred towards women, the systemic inequalities like the feminization of poverty, women's lack of access to resources that all contribute to the crisis that women are facing in Canada.
She says there's still a long way to go, but education is a place to start.
We need to be talking about education for young folks, about healthy and unhealthy relationships, consent, the signs of abuse, and what to do if you suspect that something's happening to someone you know.
For Reeve, therapy is still an important part of her life, and she often reflects on what getting help did for her and what could have happened if she didn't.
I might still be in that situation, or worse, a statistic. And I'm still trying to put my life together and trying to get the boundaries sorted out. But I'm a survivor and I will do it.
Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
You are looking at a beautiful shot of our harbor front, likely from the comfort of your warm home tonight. Clear skies will be making things even colder overnight. Nick Sierkiewicz has a glimmer of hope for us. Stay with us.
The weather update is brought to you by Train Extreme Conditions Testing. It's hard to stop a train, really hard. Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
Nick Cernkovich is back with his extended forecast. And the good news is this cold snap, it looks like behind you, will be coming to an end soon.
Yeah, I'm going to step out of the way, Mike, because this is really what you want to know here. The warm-up in the forecast, I promised it. It will be delivered, but not until the weekend. Here's a look at the 7-day trend. Now, tomorrow we're sitting at minus 14 degrees as a daytime high, but as we move through the next few days, temperatures will actually rise up above the zero mark and stay there for at least a few days. The average daytime high, by the way, for this time of year, minus 2. We are looking at extreme cold warnings across the region. These warnings issued by Environment Canada. And with that cold air coming off of the lakes, we do have some areas of snow squalls just in the lee of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay. So some snow squall warnings in effect through tonight north of the GTA, and blowing snow warnings as well. For the City of Toronto, though, and for most of southern and southwestern Ontario, mostly clear skies tonight, mostly clear skies for tomorrow as well, and that continues. But with those clear skies, we are looking at temperatures that are going to drop into the minus 20s as the heat is radiated away. Well, I don't want to say heat, but as some of those temperatures are radiated away through the overnight period. Heat would seem like a little bit of a misnomer there. Wind-wise, as I mentioned there, it's going to be pretty gusty, 30 to 50 kilometers per hour through tonight, through tomorrow as well. And in fact, it's not better until Friday, and that means wind chill values will be quite cold right across the region. Southwestern Ontario tonight, minus 27 degrees in the Windsor area, and then by tomorrow, not much better. Close to minus 20 there, wind chills of about minus 28 for the region. Golden Horseshoe tonight, minus 21 to minus 24. Wind chills around minus 35 tomorrow, in the minus mid-teens for the region. But the warm-up is on its way. Not a lot to speak of in terms of precipitation either. Mostly sunny skies for the next few days. Little bit of mixed precip on Sunday morning, Monday and Sunday, and in fact all the way into mid next week we're looking at temperatures that'll be in the low positive digits. Mike?
We say it every week, but we cannot wait for the weekend, and now with good reason. Thanks a lot, Nick.
Yeah, you bet.
The Sebastian Giovinco era in Toronto is over. According to reports, the Italian star's contract has been sold to the Saudi Arabian club Al Hilal FC. Giovinco's MLS contract was set to expire at the end of this season. The TFC star was the top earner in the league last year, taking home just over $7 million a year. Well, Queen West is losing a piece of its history. Duke's Cycle has been a staple in the community since it first opened its doors back in 1914. The bike shop was handed down from generation to generation, and now its current owner is retiring and closing up. Taylor Simmons takes us on a trip down memory lane.
That's a picture of my grandfather there.
Just inside Duke's Cycle, photos show the store's past.
This is probably in the I guess in the 50s, 60s. And that's my dad there in most of these pictures. We used to sell those are shotguns and rifles, fishing equipment, darts, you name it. In 1969, that's when the first explosion hit for the bicycles.
From department store to specialty bike shop, Gary Duke has worked at this store since he was a teenager. 45 years later, he says he's ready to retire.
How are you feeling now?
Almost relieved. A little sad. I'll every once in a while I'll go.
But there was a battle to get here. A decade ago, flames engulfed several historic buildings near Queen and Bathurst, including Duke's Cycle.
I spent 30 years of my life in that building. My brother lived upstairs when the fire happened. My father was born upstairs.
Even with the financial struggle, Duke reopened the store in 2011.
I didn't want the fire to put me out of business, and that's why we decided to fight hard.
But there's been new challenges, including the competition. Duke's Cycle used to be one of only a handful of bike shops, but now there are dozens across the city, even just around the corner.
A little bit of fun, if I can say, that has gone out of the industry. It's really become this take what you can, race to the bottom on pricing. Consumerism has really made it difficult to make profit margins.
Duke says a plan is in the works for another bike retailer to take over the space, ensuring his employees keep their jobs.
It's a little bit bittersweet that there isn't immediately another Duke to carry on the tradition. But the reality is that Gary, he gets to retire, and that's the most important part.
I want to say thank you very much for all their support all over the years. I mean, it's pretty phenomenal of what this little business on Queen Street and lots of other little businesses really do for a community, and that's the part. But the community has changed, and we all have to kind of grow and move on.
Duke plans to retire in March, but not without one final party to celebrate a century in business. Taylor Simmons, CBC News, Toronto.
Before we go, take a look at how these University of Windsor fraternity members are staying warm for a good cause.
Definitely one of the challenges is being willing to strip into your bathing suit and get in the hot tub because you're just going to be cold right away. But the moment you get in, it is the best feeling ever.
The fraternity's Hot Tubathon on campus is set to last 100 hours. The rules say at least one member of the Sigma Chi fraternity must be in the hot tub at all times, and some shifts can last up to 3 hours. Well, halfway through, they've already exceeded their goal of raising money and awareness for the Huntsman Cancer Foundation in Utah. According to students who have sat in the tub, the biggest challenge, no doubt, is getting out, especially in this cold weather. Getting in is always easier. Well, before we go, it's almost time for the return of Canada Reads. Tomorrow on Q, it's the big reveal. We'll find out who is on this year's panel and which books will be on the list. That is tomorrow on CBC Radio 1. I'll see you back here on CBC Television tomorrow night at 11. Good night.